Yeah. Roll call.
Commissioner Donthy,
Present.
Commissioner Gar, Commissioner Sharon,
Present.
Vice Chair Kumar,
Present.
Chair Mohanty,
Present.
President and Commissioner Gar absent.
Approval of minutes.
I think we have to, oh yeah, okay. Let's do minutes. Not.
So the first one was pretty simple. Terry, I've got a question for you.
Mhm.
The first one, since this was a special meeting. Do you think there is no need to put any action items or anything, any detail about what we discussed?
No,
Okay.
no,
No.
we don't need to.
Okay, we have
We have the video.
I think it's about our normal level of detail.
So then I pass the motion to approve the December 19 minutes.
I'll second that.
Vote.
All right, Commissioner Donthy,
Approved.
Commissioner Gar,
We are going to the meeting minutes.
Yeah.
Last.
This is minutes of meeting for December 19. There are 2 minutes.
Can I just say abstain because I didn't read it?
okay.
The rules shall pass.
That works?
Commissioner Sharon,
Approved.
Vice Chair Kumar,
Approved.
Chair Mohanty,
Approved.
motion carries with Commissioner Gar.
And then the January 17th.
I'd like to propose a motion to approve the minutes with a minor correction, because we ought to do that. On page 10, in the paragraph describing the commission's work plan, there's a typo in the middle of one of the bullets, to be fairly clear. But
Oh, yeah, I see it.
so I'd like to propose a motion to approve the meetings with the correction of, where the word "to" types twice inside itself.
I will second the motion.
Sorry, did you say you seconded?
Yeah.
No.
Voting.
Yes. All right, Commissioner Donthy, Commissioner Gar,
Approved.
Commissioner Sharon,
Approved.
Vice Chair Kumar,
Approved.
Chair Mohanty,
Approved.
motion carries unanimously.
Okay. Oral communications. I apologize, this was January 7th. Yep. I will abstain. I was not present.
Okay.
Anyone for oral communications?
We have no speakers to share.
Okay, so we go to Microsoft presentation. We can go around productions and start. How did you make? One, did you?
We have.
Shook hands nearly unanimously. And I feel like we've done a good job, although Mukesh, I don't think we had a chance. So on behalf of the Microsoft team, I'm happy to kind of kick us off, and if we can get started. Spencer, do you want to start? We'll work our way forward.
Sure. Hi, everyone. Good to meet everyone. Spencer Fee. I'm with Microsoft. I am a AI workforce specialist. That's a fancy title for supporting your Microsoft Office 365 and Microsoft 365 environment from a productivity core application standpoint. So Office, Excel, all of the collaboration apps. And as well, that comes with Microsoft 365 Copilot, which we're going to dive into shortly here, which is our Gen So been with Microsoft now for going on 4 years. And then plus a number of years as a vendor to Microsoft, and based out of Seattle, Washington. So
What is your last name again?
Spencer Fee, Fee. Yes. Yeah, so excited to be with everyone and I'll pass it over to Monica.
Hi, everybody, Monica French. My role is US as a small business sales director for Microsoft. So within small business, the reason I'm here is are within the group of small business team. So we have an amazing team from different areas that are here to support you. And 1 year at Microsoft, but also came from LinkedIn. So I have a diverse background in HR tech in particular and startups. Just excited to learn more about what your priorities are and pain points and how we can better support you.
You living in Southern California?
I'm San Diego.
San Diego.
I can, somewhat close, but yeah. Same state.
And good evening, folks. My name is Rick Joyer. I am my internal jargon title is Cloud and AI Platform Director in our US state, local, and higher education market. I'm based in the Sacramento area, as some of you heard during the small talk portion of tonight. I've been at Microsoft for 14 years. Up until this year, all of the entirety of that 14 years was spent working in the state and local market. I've been serving in the last 10 years on our cloud platform, Azure. So infrastructure, platform as a service, and now growingly platform as a service capabilities, which includes AI and services like Foundry, which I know the city's been investing in. And my very first role here at Microsoft was working as the all-up product, what we would call an account exec, so the ultimate relationship holder with City of San Jose, Santa Clara County. So I'm familiar. Lindsay, you mentioned Santa Cruz County. So I was out in Salinas a fair bit, all the way over to Tulare County and Visalia, up in the Sacramento and Solano. So I was tapped in to help with the conversation today to bring some relevance into cities, counties, and how are we taking what Microsoft is doing at a corporate level and how we serve our really mega customers, the Walmarts and the Home Depots and the Coca-Colas. But what does that actually look like for us in public sector? And specifically, what are we seeing across cities and counties and states? I've been working very directly with the state of California since I'm in the Sacramento area, you can imagine. And so I'm trying to bring some relevance to how do we translate use cases that tend to be marketed towards not cities, not counties, not government entities, to what are we seeing as the real world applications here. And so that's kind of the role I'm hoping to be able to play. Prabir, you brought us kind of the initial inquiry here, and I thought I would just set the stage before we turn it over to Spencer for a little bit. A lot of what we heard from you guys, I shared with those of you on the prep call. Sounds like you all are actually pretty advanced relative to a lot of your peers, especially in your size segment. What I would characterize as a smaller city entity by employee count. Marquee name, big tech companies here. It's not surprising. You see a lot of that going around in terms of Silicon Valley, you guys being advanced. But there's a lot of bigger cities who aren't nearly as far along as you guys are, who have more resources than what, as someone who's brand new to learning about you all, what I've been able to ascertain. And I think that's pretty impressive. And I think, just from a Microsoft point of view, looking at, the investments made across the productivity stack and looking at the investments that we've made in Foundry to get ready for full-blown custom what I think of pro code built AI capabilities. A lot of what I think we're going to try and get across here today, and the perspective I'll try and bring to the conversation here, is kind of how are we seeing patterns of adoption for success? And I'm thinking about this from, I joined Microsoft at the tail end of the Steve Ballmer era. And that was at a point in time, our stock was $26, just to put it in perspective. And we were dead because we had missed mobile. You guys have Apple here, you know exactly what happened. Google was going to eat our lunch because they had figured out the subscription business, and we were the old stodgy Microsoft, we didn't know subscription. We were the OS company only and Windows and PC was dying. That was the climate I came into. And what I started to see is we went into the subscription space with modernizing Office across government were clear patterns of, especially as I jumped into the Azure role, which I jumped into because I saw it as the future of Microsoft. What I noticed was until you had adopted, or until an organization had adopted SaaS, in our case, Productivity Suite O365, I was wasting my time trying to talk to you about moving your Esri system up into Azure. You needed to get the crawl before you started to walk, before you run. And I think some of what we're going to try and share tonight is one of the blessings and the curses of working at Microsoft is we have a whole horizontal soup to nuts in-game story for AI across a full SaaS experience in Copilot, all the way to a moderate SaaS experience with Copilot Studio for low code, no code, into Foundry, all the way into pro code, pro dev. And there's a lot of ways that we can go. And one of the challenges when a Prabir reaches out and says, hey, come tell us the AI story, you have an hour. Each of those can be a multi-hour conversation in and of itself. So some of what we're going to try and get across tonight is how do you tell the story of crawl, walk, run with some use cases and demos that we've thought through based on AI prompts that we went out there and looked at that might be relevant for Cupertino. And by all means, like, we don't want this to be a monologue, we want this to be bi-directional. And our intent and goal is just to get some thought that triggers follow-on discussion to where we could deep dive on the stuff that will be most applicable for you all. I'll pause there. Does that make sense or raise questions, or do you want to steer us differently? Does that kind of align to what we talked about previously?
Yes.
Cool. So Spencer, I think that's the part I agreed to keep up with.
Yeah. I think that's a great, that's a home run. So I think with that, I think one thing I did leave out is that I cover, right, the mid-market space for US public sector from an AI workforce standpoint. So I cover about 90-ish cities, counties. And so I too, like Rick, just, I talk to customers every day. I was actually out visiting with one last week. So I just delivered something very similar. So I think let's dive in. So I think with that, right, I don't necessarily like to keep this like super depth in PowerPoint, but I think because we're in a formal setting, we're going to do a little bit of that, and then we're going to do a little demo. And again, I think this is a conversation starter and folks thought, and we can have separate follow-up meetings. So, right, the era of AI is here, and it's already changing the way that we work, right? And across industries, organizations all over, from the Walmarts all the way down to the mom and pops, are looking at ways to leverage AI to help with time-consuming tasks or very complex, automated tasks as well. But if we really think about AI, right, it's not necessarily a new thing. AI has been embedded into like features like editor in Office applications, providing insights and visualizations in Excel for a long time. Microsoft Teams, right, has closed captioning. That is all powered by AI. Azure AI, cognitive AI, right? That's all AI, and it's been around for quite some time. And even thinking about this in our personal lives, right? Predictive texting, whether we love it or hate it or whatever, that's AI, right? Our favorite music application, I was listening to a song or two on the way down here on the plane, right? It recommends a next song, right? That's all AI. What is necessarily, in the last 2 or 3 years is this thing called generative, right? And it's changing the way that, I show up to work. It's also changing the way that I come and look at new recipes like that I want to cook. And it's changing the way that we interact with technology, right? It's thinking about this in terms of more of a conversational mindset rather than just a traditional search mindset. So really quickly, I think, me doing my role and trying to scale across all my customers and even just flying down here on the plane, I did a simple prompt, right, around leveraging Microsoft 365 Copilot, which we'll get into in a little bit. To just ask, right? Ask any AI, right? Hey, what's the sentiment on AI within Cupertino or within the, state of California, right? And whether this is accurate or not, right, we can discuss, but it's helping me get directionally aware of what's happening today. And so that's just a really quick personal example. I'd like to steal this slide from my solution engineer. And I think it's really hit home for me, in terms of when we think about technology, specifically with AI. And so Alvin Toffler, in his 1970 book called Future Shock, wrote, "The illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn." Right? I just want to let that sit for a second. Change is really hard and is scary, right? And at Microsoft, and even in my own personal life, I try and adapt to change, and I can't adapt to everything. But I think this speaks to the growth mindset that we all have to have when it comes to technology, specifically with AI, because of how fast it is moving. So, if Cupertino is like any other of my customers, there's a couple things that we see, and Rick and the team, feel free to just jump in, right, across the board in terms of trends within the public sector space. Number one, right, there's growing expectation among your citizens to have faster, more efficient, accessible services across all different departments, and they want everyone or everything at their fingertips. So I think that's number one. Number two is around employee productivity and making sure that your talent has the tools that they need to do the work that they need to have higher, more meaningful, impactful work. And there's a lot of tools, lots of different content switching across the board. And then three, it's around this overarching notion of what's happening in the public sector space today, from the federal level all the way down to the local level, in terms of shrinking budgets, shrinking workforces. How do you keep your talent? How do you retain that talent? How do you keep folks engaged? So I think those three things are things that we see commonly across the board, and kind of the opportunity for AI across the board. I think with that, right, that poses this kind of notion of what it is to become frontier. And what does that even really mean? Right. And so I think that to put this a different way, I think the early years of AI, from a Gen AI standpoint in the last couple of years, have been very focused around doing the same work, but faster, more efficient, et cetera, et cetera. At Microsoft, we're talking about this notion of what it is to become frontier and what frontier transformation is, right? And so again, like thinking about AI from the first early couple years, even today, right? It's a little bit scary, right? Is AI going to take jobs? And I think that is seriously part of a concern, right? But I want to be clear. Our stance around frontier transformation is different, right? Frontier transformation is not AI transformation. Frontier transformation is all about unlocking capacity, capability, creativity, and growth while maintaining trust. And right, put simply, as Satya talks about and Judson talks about, right, AI really needs to do more for humanity. And so, right, doing some work leveraging AI, and again, we can talk about if this is actually relevant or not, right? But how this might align to Cupertino, right, is around fiscal resilience, right? Increasing small business community engagement, emergency readiness and community engagement. And last but not least, right, transparency and accountability, right? That's all stuff that we could help today around AI, and we see customers doing with AI today. And so this notion on screen here around being frontier, like, again, what does that really mean, right? Frontier organizations or frontier cities are agencies that are human-led and human-led at the core, and that will never change. But again, as we get into this more agentic AI scenario, right, there will be agents showing up. And how do we leverage all of that at our disposal as employees? A frontier firm has three main things in common here, right? They buy intelligence like electricity, they put it to work like an employee, and they compound it like interest, right? Before I get into this, I'm gonna say, we at Microsoft are really living and breathing this today. And we can talk about some use cases that, we have in our own personal examples. But I want people to think about, right, what does it take to be a frontier city, right? What does frontier transformation look like for the city of Cupertino? And how do you start to rethink workflows, budgets, processes, designs to stay ahead, right? What does that look like as individuals, as leaders, as a team, and as an employee? And how do we adapt and thrive in this new era of AI, right? And really harness it and put it to work.
Spencer, I'm gonna pause there
Yeah.
just because I think, one, we've been talking for a little bit, and two, like, let me try and, so part of the stage that Spencer's setting here before we get to, hey, here's some ideas of demos that we've put together for you guys, based on scenarios we're seeing. Potential scenarios and real ones, right, is from our point of view, and I mentioned the crawl, walk, run journey earlier. Like, and I mentioned earlier, where you guys have mature capabilities, what I see that's unique here is because you've already invested with a partner and you are set up with Fabric, we can execute on a whole storyline here. What I would propose to think through for you all, going back to kind of patterns of successful adoption, kind of front of house, back of house concepts for AI adoption. There's front of house, citizen facing, what are the services that we could put forward that then we could think through automating? And then how do we take the intelligence from that to improve services to do things differently, right? So, hey, Stevens Creek, remodel, hey, what are we getting? What's public sentiment? How do we use that then to inform city council members to think through what's our stance? What do we want to do? Part of this is going to start with how do we give better capabilities through the productivity stack that you already have with things like Copilot to start internally. Hey, search and summarize. Prabir sent me a deck a couple weeks ago. One of the most common use case for me is go find it. I used to go sort, look for emails by Prabir. I just tell Copilot, go get me that. Then I tell it summarize the meeting minutes. We're looking at videos from Cupertino. Hey, what's the public sentiment? What are the 3 things I need to know about that decisions were made on? These are some of the directions that we're going to go here. I think where I see firms get to frontier fastest is when you start internally with that back office side and then build capability and competence for how does this work? We're testing with our friendlies. We're building out a center of excellence for AI adoption. Then we're going citizen facing services there. So like, just as we go through this, just that's kind of conceptually where I would steer you to think through, just in terms of organizational change management aspects of how do we adopt, and it always starts in-house with us. In my experience, seeing low risk, tolerant organizations, which most cities, counties, and states are, start with your friendlies, build that confidence and go forward. So sorry, Spencer, I want to connect some of those dots because some of this is marketing speak, and I'm going to acknowledge that, but it's setting the table for where do we start getting into the guts of some of this. Does that make sense?
I think that's a perfect segue, right? And so I think what Rick is connected to is really, right, change across the board. And this, right, with that context in mind, right, this 4-pillar approach is really the framework that are the Walmarts all the way down to the S&B mom and pop shops are leveraging, right? Around how do we really enrich your employee experience first and foremost, and really, obsolete the mundane, free up time for you to then work on more strategic initiatives, to reinvent, reshape, and really bend the curve on innovation across. So as kind of Rick just shared, right, thinking about it that way, from both the front and back of the house. I'm not gonna spend more time on that. As Rick kind of pointed out, right, we back up, right, we have the 4-pillar framework. And then we kind of have this approach that underpins that. Right, it's around, right, one, front of house, right, how do we put AI in the flow of human ambition, right, with employee productivity at the center, right? Then moving into ubiquitous innovation across the board, and really, we believe that there is a maker in every house, so to speak, and then how do we observe, govern that across the ecosystem, right? And so I think at Microsoft, really, this is our differentiated approach, right? Across the end-to-end stack, we have a solution for you as a city, right? Let's talk about kind of where you guys want to go, what challenges you're facing, and then we can come in and figure out and map towards the products. But again, I think it would be remiss if we talked about Copilot Studio Fabric, all in a siloed fashion, right? I think our differentiated approach is really this platform approach, and really across the board, right? It's putting AI first and foremost into every single product that we have. And doing that end to end securely as a Microsoft ecosystem, Microsoft platform. Any questions there? Does that make sense? Rick, do you have anything?
Look, how do I query my Microsoft graph on the far left? Hey, how do I search and find the documents that are within City of Cupertino SharePoint? How do I use that graph to only be able to access what I can have access to? So part of the story that we have that's different from the others is access to the understanding of what's there in that Microsoft 365 stack, right? And all of the inherent protections and security roles that comes with that. So Prabir can only see what Prabir should be able to see as he's querying Copilot. Then having that integration into Copilot Studio. So I'm going to find limits for what Copilot does in M365. So I'm going to use Studio to start to enhance, put Copilot on steroids to do additional capabilities. All of that is grounded in Fabric, which you guys have laid the foundation for. So Fabric, when our senior execs, when you're with Satya sometimes, the thin red line that goes through all this is Fabric as the underpinning of all that data for us that knows you can only have access to this. Foundry comes into, I found the limits of Copilot, Copilot Studio. I need a full custom agent build, and I'm going to go put agents to work. So one of the customers that we were talking to, California Department of Public Health, when COVID hit, their infectious disease registry called CalReady broke. Most places broke. So I'm not pointing fingers or casting aspersions here. What they're doing now is one of their problem statements. They have 200 different program areas, which are all different applications that all have different database for, did you get a COVID vaccine? Did you get this? Have you been on any other, what do they call it? Where did you grow up? All of the data points that they have about you. One of the things we go with is to query all that are all independent. Let me go query all those and go tap this department, this data silo, this data silo, this data silo. They're now looking to, how do I build agents in Foundry to go do all that querying? So as I have a doctor and they have a patient there, can I put those agents to work to go query those and come back to, this person's had this vaccine, they've not had that one, they grew up here, they grew up there. So this is where, if you think about querying your work graph, finding extendable ways to query your work graph, all Fabric in the middle, Foundry for doing custom pro code type of agent builds to go do tasks and manage those. And Agent 365 is kind of coming. So I'm just trying to contextualize, and again, that's a state example, but trying to paint a picture for Microsoft has a dirty habit of putting all of our product names, trying to show where they fit into the picture here in the context of how does our AI story actually work? Does that make sense?
You said Fabric has the access to all the data.
Fabric is how you maintain access to that data. And I mean, I don't want to put you on a spot, but I was told you were part of the expert there on that, but yes, in simple answer, yes.
It's from what I understood, it's role-based access control.
Absolutely. So again, one of the things that we see an anti-patterns of success guy speaking, where we limit and restrict access to enterprise grade AI, you end up with what I refer to as the Jurassic Park effect. Jeremy Goldblum's character of life will find a way, and they will start taking your data and putting it into GPT or other consumer grade AI technologies. When we think of how to enable responsible AI and you can secure it, then they start to put it where it should be, where you have access to make sure that Emma doesn't get access to anything Emma shouldn't have access to, and it's auditable, queryable, and defensible. And so like that's what I've seen is like in the great race for AI buzzword bingo, everyone's saying I've got an AI solution. It's exposed a dirty secret for a lot of organizations, especially the bigger ones, which is we actually haven't been tagging our data. We haven't been doing all the data governance, and we haven't been really cataloging all that stuff. And all of a sudden, holy smokes, I can query all that. Like that's the challenge that I see that's really like Wall Street's asking us, where's the progress on this? I think the whole world's going through getting all their data ducks in a row. And I think the proliferation of adoption is imminent as we're getting through some of those efforts. And that's where I think Microsoft would contend we're different than some of our competitors that are out there.
To complement too, I think that's perfect entry. I was just at a security conference actually a few weeks ago. I'll write a book for one of the largest security conferences, for many partners that go there, our managed service providers. And it was interesting because I would ask them like, how do you see the AI readiness journey for your customers, right? Which are government, small businesses. And they always say it always starts with security, the foundations. Like we have to make sure the data and the governance are secure before we go on to the next level. Now we start thinking about the next level with Copilot. And in that discussion, we started seeing, what are the different approaches, that are happening, within this space, and even within small businesses, around 70% of small businesses, suffer a cybersecurity attack, don't even reopen, after that. So it is a risk factor. But then when you start thinking about the end of the curve agents, we're discussing how we can employ agents. We'll go into that in a second. The Agent 365, it's coming soon, but I think it's important to really just pin on what it's going to achieve. You think about it, we want to have that security because every agent that you create, Sajid said this very well. He said, think about it as like a consultant that you bring to your company, right? Or to your organization. They're going to have access to many of your tools, your platforms, your apps. How do you integrate them, right? You want to have an ID with that consultant, right? 12 different platforms. The Agent 365, the idea there is so that every you can be able to monitor exactly all the agents that you're creating in your organization, know what data sources they are, who's creating them, what is the flows, what's the interface, and the actual usage. And so that way we have a much more secure environment as well. So just to connect that, is that the end game here too? Because that's what's actually being used. And we're seeing so many people creating them in organizations. It's great. No code, low code. I create them a lot myself with an organization where I'm employing them. But we need to have that control and understand that transparency around the usage of it. So just to connect that back.
And
So during this presentation, I am sure Ram is like, what I'm looking for is how is it going to improve the crisis management for the city?
Okay.
Right, services to the citizen. If you can just map it, the things that you're talking about.
Sure.
And how it can improve the efficiency of the city.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
You can map it, that. I know.
Yep.
And from my perspective, I'm probably waiting for a demo or something. And some use cases, which is, you guys have implemented in the public space.
Yeah.
We're gonna.
Well, if we're interrupting.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
This is your time.
So
No, hold on.
I am always, like, I understand I'm our local hard sell on AI because I'm very much like the city is here to like serve people. One of those ways that we do that is by having employees that do excellent work, but also we support our employees. But I am always worried when I hear public facing AI suggestions or building agents in the internal that we're going to be giving the agents like not to like quasi judicial authority here where it's like I'm always nervous where it's like, do we want them involved in planning permits? Do I want them involved in deciding who gets their trees trimmed first? Like, that kind of thing where, I mean, the city is, not profit motivated, right?
Right.
It's service motivated. And I just worry with business AI that it's not going, so I would also like to see
Yep.
examples of where you're doing this in the public sector.
Yep.
Where it's like the guardrails that are there.
Totally relevant. Thank you.
That's a good call.
So I think that's a good call out. I skipped through a couple other slides. I think to answer one of your questions and to really ground us, right? Again, when we talk about frontier transformation, or any kind of transformation in terms of our stance on AI, it's always human at the center and human at the limit, right? To your point, yeah, is there agents operating? Sure. Did I just use an agent today? Sure. But I have the final say at the end of the day, whether that information is accurate, factual, and if I want to use it. Do not. Right, that like publicly, that is our stance. And so we've said Copilot a lot, but what is Copilot, right? Copilot is really our brand for artificial intelligence from a UI perspective. Think about Copilot as the UI for AI, or think about it in a different way, like Nike is brand, Nike has a lot of sub brands, right? Copilot, there's a lot of Copilots out there. And this wheel kind of helps try and depict some of this. And this is kind of an outdated chart. But there's like 90, 100, whatever amount of Microsoft products out there. We believe that there is going to be a Copilot really on almost every product eventually out there, right? And so when we're talking about Microsoft 365 Copilot, we're really only talking about a narrow subsection of wheel under the old, what we used to call modern work section. Right, think about Copilot embedded into the Office applications, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, etc. Right, if you're thinking about hardcore development and coding, you actually might leverage a different Copilot called GitHub Copilot. If you're thinking about security Copilot is actually in commercial today, and that's something that you guys can take advantage of with the right licensing. So I want to set that as kind of the grounding there.
So can you magnify so we can see the on the edge?
So Spencer, I'm gonna chime in here and then I'm gonna say, in the spirit of Mukesh's feedback, we should probably get to a demo
Yeah.
here
Yeah.
rapidly. The one thing I would say about this, so spaghetti monster of Microsoft products, Copilot is gonna span across them all, right? And there's an embedded Excel Copilot, there's a PowerPoint one, there's a Word one, they're everywhere. They're proliferating. So this is an ugly view of Microsoft's app stack.
All the.
And we can call it what it is. I've made fun of our slideware quite a bit. I heard Monica earlier talking about what I am seeing with AI tool proliferation follows the cybersecurity tool proliferation, which means the space is getting so crowded to adopt across multiple companies means you're changing your title from Chief Information Officer to Chief Integration Officer. And I think the value prop that we're getting to is consolidating that under one security umbrella, visibility and auditability across all of that. And so we've hammered that point.
So, and again, this wasn't really intended to go into all of the different Copilots, right? This is just, it's actually intentionally made to kind of raise some questions, right? Because we talk about Copilot and it's very confusing, right? So I want to ground us on what we're about to see. So.
What's the reason for having multiple copilots and not one integrated copilot that integrates across multiple applications?
Yeah, good question. I'll do the official answer and then Rick Joyer's unofficial opinion, if that's fair. Official answer is we started with just embedding copilots into products so that if I'm in Word, I can quickly and easily prompt in Word to help me in Word. Then I started to do it in my Office experience. Then it was in Teams. I think what we're starting to see is collapsing of there's going to be a Copilot everywhere, but unifying that data and getting yourself into integrated experiences as an ultimate branding umbrella, to Spencer's point, Copilot starts to slowly morph into your UI for getting into the Microsoft ecosystem. I think that's kind of the tea leaves and everything that we're going towards on this front. And a lot of that is rooted in kind of how we're seeing it internally in our own, we're drink our own champagne or eat your own dog food, however you want to think about it. But that's kind of how we're seeing it. Spencer, sorry.
Yeah, no worries. So this is a demo tenant, and this is very similar to what you guys have in some capacity. I want to quickly say, right, before we get into paid copilots, how many is anyone aware of Copilot Chat and kind of what that is, and again, what that is?
Copilot Jack,
Chat.
chat.
Copilot Chat. So Copilot Chat is, right, you name your favorite web-based AI tool. It is included within your existing Microsoft licensing today at no incremental cost, right? This is something that we originally did not release to customers, and we just gave the pay, it was either paid or nothing, right? And so we've completely changed that. And we're investing into you as a city, as a local municipality, and we are providing Copilot Chat within your existing agreement today, right? And so what is Copilot Chat, right? Copilot Chat is a very basic web AI tool, right? It can do summaries, it can help with brainstorming, right? But Copilot Chat does not natively have any access to your work data, right? In this example, I literally asked it to summarize my email. Sure, happy to do it. Please copy and paste, right? Think about this as a ChatGPT, Gemini, what, like you name your favorite AI tool out there. That is Copilot Chat. Copilot Chat is really a tool that we are providing, and we do not learn, we do not train. It is enterprise data protected. And so what I'm highlighting up in here is when you're logged in with
It's
your.
same as like ChatGPT or Gemini or Claude, right? You are asking the questions in.
Correct, correct. It is,
Is it not the web version which is, but if you click on the word, work, because I'm actually using that right now.
Yep.
Yes.
If you click on the work, then it is connected.
yes,
This
and
is-
that is paid Copilot,
Yeah,
right?
that is-
Your users today,
Yes.
for a majority of your users do not see work.
So
They
web
only
part-
see web, and it will just, there's no toggle, and it'll just say, hey, you know, how can I help? Right? And so your users today have access to the web, right? And so it's leveraging OpenAI as in ChatGPT 5.2, right? And we just announced we're bringing 5.3 in the next, probably, you know, coming soon.
Perry, you have that. So the web version you have, and you don't have the work version,
Only for.
only for POCs.
Yes.
Only for
Yes.
POCs. But
Yes,
web version is available for everybody who has got 365 license like Word, Outlook. Okay.
so I want, and we'll get into that in 1 second, but I want to be very crystal clear here. Copilot Chat is more secure than really any of your favorite consumer AI tools. Right? Because it's enterprise data protected. And that is backed by our enterprise data protection promise. Right? And so you can go pay for a ChatGPT enterprise, and that will probably get you the same thing. Right? But you're paying for that.
It's the same elements.
It is the same LLM, yes. Granted, on top of that, we have responsible guardrails in place, right? And so I'm not gonna do it in this demo tenant. But my solution engineer has a different demo tenant where he will put a prompt like, how do I create an atomic bomb? Copilot will not return an answer for that, or it should not, right? Because we add on top of the LLM responsible guardrails. And that is in our enterprise data protection promises, right? And so it is essentially, right, the AI for work, right? Don't get me wrong, I leverage other models outside of work, but I would never put and I would never prep for a customer meeting or a Microsoft internal thing with my own personal bring your favorite AI tool to work. When I'm at work and logged in, I'm leveraging Copilot.
So you are saying, in summary, you're saying that the website of it is available to everybody who has got Microsoft
Correct.
Office license.
Correct.
Yeah. So if we have got Outlook, Word, Excel license, people can use it.
Yeah.
But it is not connected to their personal laptop, it's not connected to the calendar, Teams, Outlook is not connected.
That's when you go to work.
That is the
Right, that
website.
is the
That's
work.
next step.
But the website of it is all the public information, it's connected to the internet.
Correct. It's grounded to
The
the
data
L,
source.
yes,
Internet.
it's grounded to the LLM plus Bing, right, through secure connection.
But did
Spencer,
you, did you say that it's not using your data that you input to
Yes.
train the model?
Yes, and that's the biggest,
That's the difference.
that's the difference
That's the-
between
That's the call out.
free, actually, this is the difference between M365 Copilot, with regardless if it's chat or paid, versus our competitors. Right, again, our competitors, I can't speak for them, and they might say that they don't train, but again, I would do your own research on that, right? You have enterprise data protection, and that's something that we provide to you guys in your existing licensing with Copilot Chat today. With paid, same thing, and to Rick's earlier point around security, and even Monica's point around security and trust. M365 Copilot respects all of your existing data permissions, user permissions, tenant permissions, data labeling policies, DLP policies already set up if you have any of that set up today, right? So M365 Copilot respects all of that versus third-party connectors, third-party applications, and strip out the sensitivity labeling.
Well, what is the difference between this and the Bing, Microsoft Bing AI?
Microsoft Bing AI, that is consumer, right? When we're logged in with work credentials and you see this green shield, that's enterprise data protection. Right, and so I could go to, copilot.microsoft.com and get a different experience, very similar but different experience. That is not Copilot Chat. And we have training guides, user guides, we have offered training to customers around Copilot Chat. And it's a really, we see this as a very low lift, high IT reward, right? You can deploy Copilot Chat out to your users today. It's actually something that every user should have access to today. It's whether or not you guys are advertising it. And that effectively mitigates shadow IT for an AI sprawl, right? We see it, a lot of my customers are leveraging Copilot Chat as the secure AI, basic AI tool. And then blocking and redirecting folks back to Copilot Chat, because we know that 70-80% of employees are bringing their own AI to work.
And the concern in our local government world is government data going into consumer grade AI tools and being exposed.
Yeah.
Spencer, I'm looking at our clock.
Yeah.
How are we on time, team? How much time?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Okay.
Fine.
I know you had other business that you needed to get to as well, so I just wanted to make sure we were tracking. Okay.
So that, and the reason I think we opened with, I think some of this agenda items, like I spend literally an hour with with our initial customers, just understanding the basics of Copilot Chat, right? And answering questions around, security. And so I'm happy to follow up around Copilot Chat specifically, but this is foundational. And again, I wanted this to be super educational, and I don't want to hard sell you on anything, right? This is something that is free, or excuse me, not free, but included within existing licensing today, right? So leverage it, right? That's here for you. So I think with that, right, there is a work tab, and this is, I think, what you guys have a few licenses for today, right? And this gets you access to all of your work data, right? So I can literally run the same prompts where I'm summarize my email. And again, it's a bad prompt, but it's gonna come back and start returning things that are in my inbox in this demo in tenant, right? So it's talking about e-bike specifications and go to market strategy. It's, you know, grand opening, right? There's emails and it's citing these, right? It's called Copilot for a reason. It's not autopilot. So it comes back to this notion of, hey, human in the loop at the center, right? I get to decide. And so if that's a pretty bad prompt, I could go in and you can say prompts, right? I'm saying, hey, you know, act as an executive assistant. Plan out my day, provide me with what's going on in my, you know, meetings, call through, give me some information about artificial intelligence because I sell artificial intelligence. It's gonna take a little bit more time, right? And come back, but this is a way more methodical prompt. And you can actually see the reasoning, the thinking behind the model. And so I ran this already, just to speed up. And again, it's not gonna, in this demo tenant, I have no meetings. So it's not gonna return a lot of stuff, but I run this every single day in my work environment. And it helps me prep for my day, understands where I need to take breaks, gives me top relevant competitor briefings on Gemini, for example. That is one use case in terms of like, think about it from a leadership perspective, think about it from an employee's perspective.
Search and summarize the upcoming TIC meeting agenda for me. When is it? What's on the agenda? What are the meeting minutes I'm going to be tasked with approving or not? As a super real world use case. I asked it today. Find me what the address is for where I'm supposed to be. It found the email that was sent to me. There were a few emails back and forth, found that. Cool. Plug in my coordinates.
I asked it to add this meeting to the calendar and it said it did,
Okay.
but then it didn't.
No, but you don't have the work. Actually, you don't have the work license because I do that at work a lot. So I've got 2,000 users using that today. So I actually use 3 hours every day, almost 2 to 3 hours.
Here, this is what I have, right? I use my phone
Okay.
and there's a ticket on that.
Yep.
And I asked, there was a meeting invite and in the email, I asked it to add it to my calendar.
So do you have a paid license?
I have whatever we have from the city.
Oh, yeah, he does.
Yeah, okay, so
What
let's,
has got the print license?
Yeah.
For the Microsoft,
Oh, no.
No.
not Copilot.
Sorry.
no, so
Microsoft.
Yeah. So what I'm showing here and what I kind of just demoed, right, we just context switch,
I'm confused.
right? That,
This is
Yeah.
the free.
This is
you're
the
talking about
purchased
free
one versus the free one.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'll give you one example for today. So I had a meeting and used the Teams, Microsoft Teams for the meeting. They created a summary. And then I sent the Copilot to send email to my boss summarizing the executive. No, not a single word I changed. I just like everything automated in 2 minutes. So just telling my boss, like I had a meeting with another business executive, this is the summary, let me know if you want to discuss it live. That's it.
yeah,
That transcription during meetings and then send an exact level summary, send a detailed summary, like that is a godsend.
A very powerful thing, very powerful.
so unfortunately, this is a competitor meeting, right? But you guys, I believe, have access to Microsoft Teams today to host something exactly like this. And if we're thinking about security, let's have a follow-up conversation because there is more enhanced versions of Microsoft Teams that handle town halls. So with that, right? To your point, Teams, Copilot Teams, and yes, it is a paid feature, but Copilot Teams is a lifesaver for me as a person that's in probably 9 meetings a day back to back to back, and I need to follow up, right? This is very similar to the functionality. This is a test police parole procurement video that I uploaded to Stream, Microsoft Stream. And if you extract the transcript you can literally ask it, hey, list the action items, right? And in a matter of seconds, it is now spitting out action items, right? Backed by the transcript because it was recorded and transcribed, right? And so again, it's human in the loop. And is this saving me 100% of time as a seller? No, right? Because I would never copy and paste this and hit send and send it to you guys. I always want to validate that, check it against it, but is it saving me 50%, 75% of my time? Absolutely, right? And so, right, summarize this video, right, or summarize this meeting, right? In a matter of seconds, I can ask it to summarize and tell me what was said when, right? Give me a 2-sentence summary, executive summary, create an email based off of this meeting with next steps and actions. This is all things that we today within Copilot for Teams, or you could bypass it, and if you have the recording, you can upload it to Microsoft Stream. And if you have Copilot, you can leverage Copilot like I'm doing this, right? Another example.
But this is something, I'm just not, I mean, in general, like the Google, the Zoom, all of them have this, they give beautiful summary documents.
Correct.
Yeah, Google
Correct.
also have, Google.
Now-
also have. No, their work.
Google Meet, yeah.
And
Where are, you know, I believe you guys are in Microsoft shop, correct? Right? You guys use, do you guys leverage Office products today?
Yes,
Yes.
Right? So the beauty, right, between us and our competitors is you guys are already leveraging Office today. You guys are leveraging Microsoft today. Your data, I believe, is in Microsoft or Microsoft-ish products. Right? And so you can leverage that, put it to work, like I was saying earlier, right? And then how do we become more of a innovative city? Right? How do we free up more time for you guys to then focus on the mayor's priorities? Right?
So let me jump in there. So to your example, Prabir, hey, Google has this, Zoom, whomever, yes. I think the story we're sharing here is the Microsoft ecosystem that the city has means you can have that with the same security policies, with the same RBAC controls, all rooted in, it's all being protected in the same spot. So one of the things I love using that scenario for is I'm not able to join every meeting that's on my calendar anymore. I miss meetings. They transcribe. I then go back to recording, summarize what did I miss? Are there actions for me? Nope, cool. I'm off to the next. Yes, okay, I'm gonna follow up. And I'm doing all that from within Teams and already in all day, every day. I'm not then jumping into a Google interface to go watch the video summary of the meeting I missed or the public hearing. We're offering a more integrated experience versus jumping portal to portal to portal to portal.
But if your company is like Google Workspace, then Google Works. If you're like Microsoft Office, then.
Yeah, I wouldn't argue with that, yeah. Right, another example, right, it's again, same basic thing. I pulled, right, Cupertino's planning commission transcript, right? You can do this, upload it to Word, and leverage it to make, you know, next steps, recommendations, you can create an email, right? That's all very basic stuff, right? Let's,
So somebody like a mayor or vice mayor, they always ask, can we go and look at all the permitting, because everything is in that.
yes,
Yeah.
yes,
That's.
Yeah.
yes,
Make a stop top 10, so.
You can read all your Outlook calendar, Outlook emails.
yeah,
Even the SharePoint, you know, if you're uploading documents on the
Yeah.
SharePoint.
Yeah.
All the team meetings, yes.
But that's the beauty of the prompt, like when he did the beautiful prompt, Spencer, he said, go into my Teams, go into my Outlook. If you're, that's when you specify what are the sources you want it to go to output you want. You know?
Yeah. yeah,
There's one thing, although I don't like it, like you have to copy paste. the email. So if you tell that, like, okay, send this to my boss, it doesn't automatically open your Outlook. You have to copy paste and put it back.
well, there's ways to.
So
There is ways in Outlook you can do that, right? But again,
No,
it's never
yeah,
gonna be
yeah.
out automated,
Yeah.
right? And so what I'm demoing here is, right, think about long email threads. We all get those, right? And I'm summarizing a long email thread in real time with M365 Copilot, right? Another example, right? I'm in HR and I want to hire for a new CISO, right? And again, I'm not gonna go through the entire prompt here, but in a matter of seconds, right? Let this run for a minute. It's gonna create kind of a market research document for me around hiring for a new CISO, and kind of what that might look like. I do this very similar prompt in Microsoft Copilot chat, and it doesn't get as detailed and granular, right? In a matter of seconds, this is now creating this for me. And I can say, hey, keep it, revise it, edit it. And again, yeah, all of our competitors do this, but it's tied into the Microsoft graph, what we are now calling Work IQ. And so even if you were to go and get a third-party AI, one, it's stripping out security permissions. And two, right, even with like thousands of different connectors sipping through straws, it's never gonna understand the layer of context that we at Microsoft have. Because it's connected across your Microsoft graph, across your ecosystem, what we're calling Work IQ, Foundry IQ, Fabric.
What
Right?
version?
It's our platform end to end.
What version is it on? The GPT version? Is 5.1 you were saying earlier?
5.2, and we're now coming. I know we just announced 5.3, and it's gonna, I don't know if there is a GA date, but it's coming to Frontier very shortly. And I will add, in addition, we have moved away from being only in a single, LLM model with OpenAI. Now, we have a massive partnership with OpenAI, and that continues to be the foundation of all of Microsoft 365 Copilot. But we now have the ability to leverage, Anthropic's Claude model and Researcher, and through additional things like Copilot Studio and Foundry, you can leverage Claude and Anthropic and even our own frontier Microsoft models. So it depends on where you need to go, depends on the task, and we recognize that. And we hear our customers around that for model agnostic, model diverse scenarios, right? And so we are not necessarily just offering ChatGPT.
Right. And so this one and Copilot chat that you were showing earlier is 5.2. Got it.
Correct.
I think one of the concerns I've heard was throw something in the Copilot and then you throw something in a ChatGPT. And if the users had been using ChatGPT, they would give a report that, oh, I got something either different or better out of ChatGPT. And I don't know if it was always the case that we were on parity with 5.2 and 5.2, but I guess that's just something I wanted to bring up.
Copilot or in ChatGPT?
Yeah, and I say, with our 10 licenses, we find that people try it and they don't really have a good experience and they don't go back to it, right?
Yeah.
They go back to using ChatGPT or Claude. So it would be nice if you had, these are really good time-saving tasks that really work, so that you don't have to go through a long laundry list of things that potentially could, but really have like some defined, move this meeting to create a calendar. And I mean, just things that are just automate your processes so that we could get people to actually use it and find value in it, because right now we're not really seeing it.
Carrie, can you share what was the role they have and like what kind of things do they ask? Like example.
Yeah, so it's mainly within, we have some management analysts that deal with budget. We have IT folks and some people we have an engineer that deals with plans.
A couple inspectors.
Inspectors, yeah.
So a handful, just a handful throughout the city. And it's tough when I'm hearing all this. It's definitely amazing when there's the wrapper that keeps everything secure. And if you're already using a similar tool, then we should be using the more secure. But if the customer or our colleagues are using it and they're saying, but I'm getting a better answer from here, then it's hard to say, well, do it safer.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
and these are licensed, right?
Yeah.
Have they tried? Especially for finance, I think there's some things we're about to announce shortly. In Excel specifically, right? I think Excel, and I gotta be careful because I'm on public record here, but you know, I think Excel across the board. Is probably one of our weakest. Co-pilots out there. But with things coming in agent mode in Excel, I think, I don't know if they've tried agent mode and we can have a follow-up conversation on what that really is and really demo that. And kind of go through that individually. But that is one thing. Another one is analyst. An analyst is one of our frontier agents specifically coded for financial analysis. Right, and so again, really bad prompts, right? But it goes over very, very complex reasoning. You can dive into all the different coding that kind of goes into the thought process. But then it starts actually coming back with, hey, tell me X, Y, and Z, gives me insights. And again, I wouldn't stop just at one prompt, but I think going back to prompting too. There's been a lot of change recently with M365 Copilot. I think early days with Copilot, and going back to kind of this, right? We always kind of hard coded Copilot to be this quick response, right? And ChatGPT might be thinking longer, et cetera. Now, right, users have a choice between auto, quick response, think deeper. And so depending on the task, right, you can choose. Also, right, you have, again, GPT 5.2, quick response, think deeper, and then research is another one as well. Very methodical around deep research. So again, I'd welcome further conversation on some prompting, but also
Part of the web one, or it's only part of the work one?
Use the work one.
work for now.
Yeah.
Now, Prompt Coach is a first party
Can you
agent.
show us what did you create for Ask Cupertino? Looks like you created this agent Ask.
Yes, so
What did you do?
this is a citizen facing exam. So I'm context switching here, and it is embedded right now in my Microsoft 365 demo environment as a internal agent. But again, think about this as an external agent sitting on your, or chatbot, if you will, sitting on your website, right? How do I report a pothole as an example? And it comes back with, hey, best ways to report a pothole goes directly to a source, goes directly to a phone number, right? Going back to the agent, right? How tall can my fence be? Right? In a matter of seconds.
Eddie, something like
It's
this,
a 3-3-1.
on the website can work when you're at.
Don't we already have something like this?
What are you thinking on the website? What would it be?
Sorry.
Agent.
Yeah, so what he has
They were
done-
working.
What is it?
so what he has probably done is he has created an agent and which is reading all the public information on our website.
Yeah.
And this agent was created in less than 5 minutes.
No code.
So I
No
asked.
code.
No code.
No code,
Yeah.
yeah, no code. But the problem here is, if you want to give this kind of access to all the public, because they don't have license for that, correct? That is the problem,
Well,
correct?
so. Again, this is sitting on my,
They don't need license.
no,
Because they
no,
We don't need a license.
no, we do not need a license, but
They need
in
Microsoft.
transparency. This does run up consumption charges, right? And so we could talk about that offline, but if we wanted to deploy something like that, let's talk about kind of what that metered approach would look like and how we would build it. Yes, it was built in Copilot Studio Lite through Microsoft 365, but we would want to do it in Copilot Studio.
So it's only the compute cost on Azure, correct?
Correct.
That's it. And we can expose this agent on our website.
Yes.
Correct, and you don't need to license every citizen who accesses it. It's basically token calls.
Right.
Now, I want to go back to Emma's comment from earlier around, hold on a second. Sounds like you guys are making decisions here, and this is where I think you can be smart about how do we think about what we're doing And this is where you turn off creativity in AI, only be rooted in your public documentation, which like we went and looked through all your codes and all the ordinances. One of the examples one of our peers built was for City of Austin, an automated way for he was showing how tall can my fence be? Well, that's rooted in what are the rules and regulations? And one of the things like, can I have a chicken coop in my backyard? All stuff in your public documentation that today you serve up to people, we're just serving up through a different interface today.
Say this, City of Bellevue is one of my customers. This agent, I'm not gonna query it because it runs up cost. And it's probably about a penny every query I make on this. But this is built in Copilot Studio today.
And this is made available to all the public.
Correct. This is something that you guys can go to today and ask.
And this is nothing but internally, this is an agent
Correct.
on Microsoft.
Yes.
Also, we can go to City of Bellevue website and.
Yeah. You, by all means, if you want.
Your competitive intelligence.
Yeah.
There's a lot more that you'd want behind one of these, like analysis on what people are asking, how
Yeah.
often it actually gives good responses, there's a lot of different elements that would need to go into a chatbot, especially for the public, right?
This is very risky too, because I can very easily write a bot and just shoot up the compute cost for that.
Right.
And I would say, to your point, right, like, I would encourage you guys to optimize, right? And so if there's like an FAQ, you can pre-build, hard code that in, as I was kind of showing in that other example. And that's a much lower cost than someone actually typing that, right? And then you can kind of optimize and so.
That was my question.
Yeah.
Someone has already asked a question about
Yeah.
how to report a pothole. You capture that, you don't have to compute that every time, right?
Correct.
Have that
Correct.
available.
Yeah.
And there are security protections to protect against DDoS attacks on your public facing agent and, runaway costs. Your commentary I want to hone in on, which goes back to, as I think about where the successful adopters have been, they start in-house, learn,
Yep.
go publish out of house or front of house, citizen facing, but use your own people as your guinea pigs to trial and error. What does this look like? What does a good experience look like? What are the types of prompts we're going to get that's going to inform you so that when you go external facing, you're more ready for it?
This is an internal example, right? But for HR again, right? Ask HR. And this is again, a very simple agent that you could do in probably 2 minutes against like your internal HR stuff that's available to everyone at Cupertino, right? How much time do I get off each year, right? How much PTO?
By the way, you'll notice it says PTO Contoso. Contoso is Microsoft's fictitious brand that we use in many of our demos, public. So it's our fake company.
Again, right, it's super simple, right, and you can deploy this out to all of your employees. And again, if they are licensed for Microsoft 365 Copilot, there is no cost for them to hit this agent. If an employee does not have a license of Copilot, there is a cost. And so that's the same kind of cost as an external agent, and we can talk about that. And there is a break-even point for, hey, right, when does it make sense to license a user for Copilot? In this example, versus when it's not, right? Because again, your frontline people, the janitor probably will never use a paid license, but they could benefit from an HR.
That starts to, just thinking about the public sector, start treading into equity conversations about who does and who doesn't get. And what does that mean in terms of access?
Right.
And all, so just things to think out as you venture into the AI waters.
And these agents can be embedded into other apps where they're tokened, right? And so even if, like you just said, even if they don't have the license, you can embed it in another app.
Yeah, and kind of what I'm showing is Microsoft 365
Right.
Copilot, but it can be published to Teams, for example. Yeah.
And I think that's where lots of people are developing, especially on the commercial side, is parent agent with a bunch of child agents underneath to have specific tasks, which become much easier to build quickly and easily. Task 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, rather than building one agent that does 27 tasks. And that's kind of, yes, and it's kind of the agile approach versus the waterfall approach. Agentic builds now. But like, I think you're thinking right on the right line, Center.
But I was thinking a little bit on that. Let's say, Terry's organization, somebody has got the Microsoft Office license, but not the Copilot. Can somebody in her organization create that agent and make it give the access to all of them who has got the web access? People who don't have the Microsoft Copilot license, can they not use it?
No,
Compute cost is okay.
they can use it.
And with the compute cost is
It's a
fine.
cost.
Yeah, compute cost only,
Yes.
correct, not the license cost.
Right.
But that compute cost would be limited only to the city employees because
Yes.
it's not public facing.
Right, exactly.
That can be manageable. Public facing,
Yes.
the problem is like, how do you manage it?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, you can estimate because like I've got like this many employees,
Right.
Yeah, and we do have calculators out there that can, scale up, scale down, depending on if there's events, in Cupertino or tax season or whatever.
Right. Okay.
I
Actually, this brings up one of my questions is the active transportation plan, actually a little bit of a can of worms occasionally in the city of Cupertino. Some of these things, I assume this is intended to be an internal data.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, if you're like, what is the, if you let the citizens be like, what is the active transportation plan? Like, keeping that tone neutral is gonna be a really hard balance to strike because there's a very broad range of feeling on the active transportation plan,
and you
just per this example.
And you can code, right, in Copilot Studio, right, tone and all of that, so it's not gonna give you a wacky answer.
Or only draw language from
Yeah.
this set of documents.
Exactly.
So the official
Right,
tone approved documentation,
Right.
this is the source for, and you essentially turn off temperature of creativity down to 0. So you only use factual stuff
Yeah.
coming from here. And then you can, one of the cool things is when you start putting source links to anything that you're putting out there to source back to public docs. And this is part of how you assuage some of the concerns you were bringing up earlier is the less creative that you get and the more factual you are and the more you point back to official documentation, the more you're doing a bit of that CYA of, well, this wasn't an opinion from a bot. This was just a bot who found the answers and source linked you to the source.
But that's good to hear because especially with stuff like that, there is always sort of sometimes you think of the AI tendency to fall in and be like, that's the best question. This is a great plan. Everybody loves this idea. And we don't necessarily want to strike that balance
Right.
every time.
Now you're weighing in on public.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't want the AI to provide public opinion.
Right.
right,
No.
and this, again, maybe this was not the best use case.
No, I think it's perfect. It's the right dialogue.
Healthy dialogue.
Yeah, that one's particularly high, yeah.
About it.
But I mean, I pulled this off of public information, but this is just another feature of paid Copilot. In the notebook feature, specifically pulled in like 5 different PDFs and kind of what the active transportation plan and previous documentation was, right? But notebooks feature in Copilot just allows you to be very narrow, specific, and even, yeah, you could probably create an agent on this too, right? But it's just a different way. If you're looking at one specific project and you have a ton of files, and so a customer that I'm working with is leveraging this feature for mass RFP comparison. As an example. Right, so like, there's a lot of different use cases, but this is one that I just wanted to show.
So I'm curious, so if you have
So this
local
is what you
governments,
found when you get this question?
Based on the documentation.
Just based on what he has uploaded.
Yes.
Or
So, oh, sorry, Terry.
So if you have local governments that are creating specific agents, internal agents that are doing, like you said, the HR
Yep.
portal or whatever. Do you make those available so that other cities can utilize those? And, you know, I mean, you are gonna refine it as you go. You're not gonna just throw in some documentation and be like, okay, there's a chatbot. There's obviously some, you know, coding and customization that go into these
Can
things,
I
so.
answer this? So if you are using SharePoint and if all the, let's say, HR policy document are stored in the SharePoint, it takes hardly half an hour to create your agent. It depends upon where are the documents.
Mhm.
So if you're putting all this, because my team created for corporate policies and all, and we rolled it out to everybody in the company. So all the corporate policies stuff and all, it hardly took like 2 days to create it.
Yeah.
The thing is like document has to be together at one place, centralized.
So internal agents, I would say they're pretty easy I mean, to your point, like you can, the HR agent was created in 5 days. And yeah, you should refine it a little bit, but
Well, for example, like we just created one for agreements, right? We have agreements that are permanent in the city. And when we retrieve it back, we want to see specific things.
Yep.
We want to know what the terms are,
Yep.
what the dates are,
Yep.
what the cost,
Yep.
and we want to link back to exhibits. So that takes some extra work. It's not just,
Yep.
you know, direct it to a certain document.
Yep.
So it would be great if I don't have to recreate the wheel each time, right? There's something available within my Foundry environment where I can pull in a model that does something like that, right?
because guys in commercial, I think our partners are building agents, and I bet you as Rick might have an agent for whatever. But I think that stuff should be coming now. Internal agents, I don't know, right? I could see that more external. But that brings up a kind of an interesting point, right? I have a lot of customers wanting to create agents, and to your point, needing, it's a tedious task sometimes.
Right.
You can leverage M365 Copilot and say, hey, help me create it. This is the agent I want. Help me create it. Give me the instructions. What should I be doing?
Mhm.
And I think part of the answer, Terry, to your question, going back to your point, is if I have a SharePoint site collection with the official authority source starting doc, and I've got exhibits
Yeah.
that are also in that same site collection, and that's what I'm grounding my agent in, then it can pull from and put source links to, because remember, like a lot of those are probably PDFs, but now we can search and summarize PDFs, translate that into text that is now searchable, that is then referenceable to then say, here's my source links and source docs, relevant snippets
Yeah.
from that. So
Mhm.
I don't think that's a big problem to go the direction that you're thinking of.
Yeah, it's not necessarily in separate docs, it's all within one doc. So you're looking within one doc and you're wanting to pull out all the, because these agreements are massive,
But-
right?
Yeah, here, and I can explain
To
the,
your point, we can do that today in Copilot. And we can do it pretty fast.
because we tried to do that in Copilot Studio,
Yeah,
and it
We're
was.
still refining.
but why
it.
would-
Here, let me, oh, sorry, go ahead.
That's one of the strengths of any of these AI elements. They read through, digest, summarize very fast.
Yeah,
I want to hear the lift where it fell down.
It's not very basic.
But this is, I think, real world.
yeah, I mean, we did it, and it, on a high level, you could ask questions, but when you got into specifics, like, different tags of agreements and just kind of, which agreements were related to another agreement, we had to then take that into Fabric to pre-process it. So this is getting pre-processed through Fabric notebooks, stored in our own, and then stored into a data lake.
Mhm.
And the agent is using the data lake.
Yeah.
The level that we needed to get our answers, the questions answered, wasn't going to be available through here without doing all the pre-processing through Fabric.
Okay.
Well, and not all of our data lives in SharePoint, right? This is our document management system.
Okay.
It's our official record repository. So.
Yeah, so pulling it out and then asking the agent one thing wasn't giving a sophisticated enough answer. So we had to pull it out, put it somewhere else, it.
Yeah. So one, that's awesome that you guys found the way to get to that. And I would argue when I was pointing earlier to Spencer's slide of kind of full SaaS Copilot all the way to the pro code. Hey, I've got a data lake that now I'm throwing docs into and having agents reason over that data lake. That's no longer just looking at SharePoint and document libraries there. Now I'm just pumping raw data into Azure storage that is in Foundry, that it's protected by the same. Like, again, I think it's really cool that Cupertino is already blazing that trail and that you guys have this house, at least for a party of one, to do that. I don't know how many folks have that, but that puts you guys in a different spot than a lot of our other customers, quite candidly. So I think it's cool that you guys are already horizontally moving across that story, because it means that for the super simple cases, you start at the super simple side. For the more complex use cases, like, well, these are kind of embedded in there and it goes, and you got to infer across these and it's not SharePoint. Cool. Well, that's kind of where you start getting into, well, it's a little more pro code work, but if you know what you're doing there, you can get to it. It can all be surfaced up in a similar fashion.
Right.
Yeah. Does that make sense? And you come.
Yeah.
What do you mean by pro code? What functional?
So a lot of what Spencer's showing is, hey, I went and found some public docs. I threw it into a Copilot agent and said, build me an agent, and it did that. Basic use cases. Pro code solutions are like SaaS, no code. Then I think of like our Power Platform and the Copilot Studio is, I don't have to be a professional coder, someone who's coding all day to build something, but I need to know a little bit of that. And then when you start getting into Foundry, I'm doing more coding. I'm literally getting in writing code, whether that's through prompts, but at the end of the day, it's more intense of a development process that we would call pro code. I'm a professional coder. This is comfortable to me. And that gives you ultimate flexibility over what you can do. And the more you go towards less code, the less flexibility you have, but the more access you have to business users who aren't programmers to build agents that are helpful for them. So you kind of put business users on one side and you put your IT pros on the other side of the tool bench. And then you think about use case and what's most appropriate to where do I go? And again, like that's part of, when we hammer on the Microsoft story, it's that idea of I can give you all that in one unified place to hit all of those use cases rather than buying a tool for this person or this persona, tools for these personas and tools for these personas. Does that make sense, Praveen? Cool.
I'm also showing another feature in Microsoft Copilot called Create, and this is kind of something that you can create, infographics, posters. It's kind of a tool like Canva, if you guys pay for Canva today.
We do.
But it can help offset or augment Canva as you see this building in real time, right? And this is something that I think is upcoming. But it's another feature, and I'll stop this, but
This is upcoming.
I believe so.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe so.
Sorry, you're talking,
No.
choose, not the event,
Not the event.
feature.
The actual.
Oh, no, this is something
Okay.
in Copilot today, sorry.
When you said it, I was like, I think he means the event. Yes, I definitely know the event's coming.
Okay.
Well, and Spencer's answer, I actually thought was, because we constantly are getting the latest and greatest fed to us as internal Microsoft employees, we don't always know exactly which one's live or not yet.
That's what I was thinking.
No, this
Now.
is.
Put this on public record.
Create is live, and so you can create.
And that's available with the Copilot license?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and so think about Microsoft 365 Copilot, the paid license, really as more than just your basic AI summarization tool, right? What we're calling this 5-in-1 capability, right? And so it has traditional chat, which we kind of showcased. It has traditional search, right? Around finding people, files, kind of this was a previous product and that's kind of blended into this. The create feature, which, you know, again, create images, videos, infographics, stories, posters, you name it. Agents is another capability. So again, first party agents, third party agents, internal agents, kind of you name your agent, that's a feature. The notebook feature is also available as well. And so, yeah, that's what we're kind of calling the 5-in-1 app, which is M365 Copilot.
What are the five again? Yeah, but chat.
So it's search, chat, create, agents, and notebooks.
But
What about the apps? We talked about the apps.
Say that again?
The-
Oh, this is just the portal for all of, it's kind of a jumping off screen for all of it.
So you can, using the apps, you can go to the.
Yeah, exactly.
again, starting in the old days, everyone lived through Outlook. And I say old days, like feels like just a couple of weeks ago, but as you work more and more through Teams as the interface to your meetings, your IMs, and now that you're blending in M365 Copilot into the same UI, like
Yeah.
more and more you're working through this UI.
Yep.
Than I would say the older paradigm of I'm working through an email UI primarily. And so what you're seeing are how do I get you jumping into Outlook or Word or PowerPoint or whatever it is quickly and easily from here so that you're not going down to the bottom, pasted to the bottom ribbon on taskbar for everything, which is what I have struggled to jump out of that habit. But it becomes easier and easier the more you're living and doing this. And Copilot accelerates that, I suppose.
Yeah.
Learn and unlearn.
What's the functionality of this M365 Copilot compared to what you're talking about?
You mean like the free one on your phone?
Yeah,
It's the
Same one.
same one.
But it's fine to have on.
I don't know if he doesn't have Copilot. Right?
No,
No, he doesn't.
Oh.
He doesn't have a license.
Yeah.
no, it's part of an office, right?
But it's
Or
a
like-
Regular office.
1 hour.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Web version.
Yeah,
Not
so-
short one.
It just has the chat.
oh,
It's
and
just-
because it told me, I asked it to add the meeting in the email to calendar, it acted everything. Oh, shall I set up a reminder? I said, yes. It said, then I go to my calendar, the meeting is not.
Ask it to summarize your email.
It cannot because
This is
it is only the web
It's-
version. You only have the web version. It
Yeah,
is not
yeah.
connected to your.
So everyone in this room has access to M365 Copilot Chat, right? Your
Chat.
basic AI assistant, which is
So that's just chat.
just chat.
Okay.
A lot of what I just showed on the screen is paid Copilot.
Eight
Yeah,
Copilot.
work. The tab on
It's the
work.
work.
Because it acts as if it did it, right? It should say I don't have access to it.
But now you can use that, say that, give me top three news today. It will give you because it's connected to the internet, but it is not connected to your.
Work. It's not
Yeah.
connected to Outlook.
Lied to you about your calendar.
Yeah.
In Balarama,
It likes a lot, actually.
so I would actually ask it, what calendar did you add it to? Just out of curiosity, and perhaps it went to a separate calendar service that you have connected, I don't know. But yes, on behalf of Microsoft, I apologize.
There you go.
And this was some few months back, I wanted it to transcribe a voice thing. It went through it and it said, done. Then I go through it. It's a pretty long one. It could have said I can't process 30 minutes of voice. It processed like few minutes and said, done. Then I go look at it. It's not done.
So maybe the free version will only get you a little bit
Yeah.
of time.
No, I mean,
Again, like, I'd encourage you, if you had a bad experience with M365 Copilot, probably a couple months ago, I'd encourage you, if you had the paid license, even if you had chat free, right? Go test it again, right? We are adding so much capability, quality improvements day over day. I cannot keep track and we're about to announce a lot more stuff, right? So again, with all of our competitors, right, it's around, I think tying it back, it's around like a horse race, right? Like you have to pick your bets on one platform or one horse, right, to win the race, right? And I would encourage you to methodically think about what that platform is think about security, compliance, identity, trust, how you tie that into your work environment, how you tie it into all of the other things that you could build, with Azure or other cloud providers that shall not be named. Right, and think about how that, we talk about this red thread, right, where you start and tie it end to end. And so I think as a next step, right,
Oh, sorry.
like I encourage you guys to think about secure and basic AI, right? What you have on your phone today, right, as a priority one. And whether that's us or another platform, that's up to you to decide, right? But we want you to take the most secure route, right? To mitigate AI sprawl, because that is a top concern for a lot of customers that I speak to on a daily. I think secondarily, you guys do have paid licenses and maybe you're just playing around with it, maybe you're going through an actual pilot. But I encourage you all, at least everyone in this room, to get licensed for M365 Copilot, just to test out to go through an actual pilot, to think about some use cases that we've shared, and figure out high value use cases, and we can help, we can bring in a partner.
It would be great if you could point us to like a really good website or even like a YouTube person that can show you the really key useful tools or features that you have, because like I said, we have it, we use it, we definitely are pushing people to try it, but they try it for a couple things and it doesn't work for them as well as some other tools, so they're not sticking with it. So if there's something like, like the
Here's how
email
they're using
calendar.
it.
I think email,
Yeah, or just specific things like, oh, hey, and for real people that are using it, I almost would go to Sudeep and say, now that you're using it, what are your key things that you're using it for? Because I want to know that, because I don't have time to go through the laundry list or to watch the forever video. You know what I mean? Like we use Planner quite a bit. And I know in the last Ignite, there were a lot of really cool improvements. Well, I just want to know quickly how I can take advantage of this.
I think these are some key ones, right? And this is not agnostic to local government, but these are, I think, Microsoft's tried and true
Okay.
top 10, try me first.
But I don't want to blow up your spot, but you did say you kind of contradicted yourself for number 9 earlier.
Just in terms of him saying, hey, we got an update coming.
Again, I think for someone like me, I don't know Excel very well. It could probably help me. For your finance person, it's probably not gonna be beneficial, right? It's democratizing AI democratizing like intelligence and how we work across the board. And so.
And I think just based off what Terry was saying, what we're looking for is like, I'm reading that and I would say, hey, someone in finance, come look at it. But then I hear what you said. And so then I'm like, all right, then we need a more pointed way to like, evangelize the people to do this.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Or mobilize.
I'm hearing you both loud and clear. Hero prompts would be helpful.
Yes.
Right.
That could be something that we follow up with, and those are kind of 10 starting spots. And then, I also one of the things I've seen in some of the other cities that have chat is web toggled off. And I recognize we're going back and forth between when web is toggled off and I'm using that compared to a consumer grade AI tool. Commonly, that's where I see the commonality of how come GPT gave me a bunch of good answers about how to cook a recipe? Like, this comes back to what are the prompts that you're doing and where are we trying to get to with this? And I think that can be where some of the hero prompts come, but where I've seen the common thread for, hey, Copilot's not quite given, web's turned off and only grounded in work, and comparing that to stuff that is grounded potentially in some work doc because you're feeding it a work doc and having fun. And so just that can be one of the gotchas that I've seen elsewhere where we've gotten that feedback. It's like, well, let's turn on web and give it the same, and now you're closer to apples. So I'm not saying that was the case, just one of the things I've seen
Can I just add one last thing? The analyst agent is soundproof, I mean, in terms of, that is the place where, for finance, that's where you do embed all the different Excels that you have. Like, I have a finance call like every week, and I want to see the numbers on small business. And I feed it Excels and actually data PowerPoints with all like the numbers from licensing motion. I feed it into that and it gives me exactly like how to interpret the data by slide, what are the queries, what are the questions to ask, what are the gaps? And I think it's just, that is the place that I would say the finance department would use as we're showing very well, is to see really how you can like look through the data. I use it a lot also for looking at lead generation. So I put Excels in there and I say, okay, I have leads coming in through different sources. Give me the graph, show me what are the sources, how is the historical trend? And then I can start analyzing that with our team, with our vendor team. So I would say, yeah, that would be the place to go. But it's really soundproof
And again, I don't know if your finance department even knows of analysts.
because it is,
Mhm.
it's already there.
Yeah.
It's already there for the people that have Copilot,
Exactly.
Mhm.
Yep.
the
Maybe
license.
the,
License, yes.
Chair,
the power query
Chair, can
stuff.
we go to public comment?
Yeah. Public comments.
We have no speakers.
Okay. Are you going to send this presentation?
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
And I would just ask, did this hit the mark for like what you were hoping to see? Did this spur some thought and ideas for you all? Does this give you
Yes.
different thoughts on where to go, how to go?
Terry's happy, I'm happy.
Noted.
And we wanted this to be just, again, thought provoking, but of course, I'd love to follow up and dive into use cases, ideation.
I would love
Like,
that.
let's get a partner in, let's go. Again, like, I want to make it relevant for.
Okay,
you guys.
that would be great.
Yeah, and Mukesh just closed up, like I said, three things. I just hope that we touched on, we said cybersecurity, efficiency and customer experience, you were saying.
No, one of the crisis management.
Crisis management.
Are you going to have a,
Is there anything missing on your top list that you think that we can dive into to make sure we cover that in the next session and maybe the following?
I think we spend a lot of time on the efficiency.
Yes,
Movement.
yes, yeah.
And the services, how can we improve services for our citizens? I think that's something.
The AI.
I think that's something, yeah, we can follow up on. Yeah.
That I wanted to touch upon that also. Like today's session was more about the employee productivity side of it.
Yes, yes.
But city provides lots of services, and is there, I was expecting to see some of the use cases.
Yep.
In public.
Specifically like permitting
You are using,
on one.
not limited, probably not limited to Microsoft Copilot, probably
City
going to the Azure AI or something like,
We definitely have 311, and we definitely have, we can talk and, talk offline around permitting.
Could you show those 8 problems real quick? Because that might spur some thought. Do we have 5 more minutes?
Yeah.
So so I'm not as smart as Spencer. I'm not as technically savvy as he is. But one of the things I did do was prompt, I think it's in, do you have the separate one or?
Oh,
That's the.
let me.
This stuff.
And I just want to show it purely to show where it's got source links to ideas that I think will prompt some addition, the 8 problems. Eight problems or something. Yeah.
I have.
Okay.
and Spencer, are you showing some machine learning stuff or no? Azure AI stuff or no?
So what you can't see, which we will send as a follow-up. So there's 8 use cases that within a few prompts came up with ideas that, so this one was accelerating permitting to support housing and business growth. The supporting docs came from, why is this Cupertino specific? It publicly notes extended plan review times driven by volume and staffing. It gave me a source link there. AI jobs to be done, pre-screen applications, extract key permit data, flag missing documents, draft in initial reviewer notes, send that to someone so they're not doing all the legwork and getting to a decision faster. Would you go to the next one? So how do I balance speed and accuracy and resident engagement? So high volume service requests, 311's primary resident engagement channel, response speed drives trust. So how do we auto classify and dedupe some of those inquiries? Some of the source links there were, while the 311 is its reporting tool with categories like potholes, graffiti, and dashboard experience, jobs to be done. How do I auto classify incoming requests, detect duplicates, prioritize safety hazards? If you go to the next one. What this is showing is just
Like, if I can ask, who gave you these use cases? This is from you? Like,
This is from Microsoft, keep me honest, but this is from Microsoft 365 Copilot and Research.
oh, this is Microsoft 365 Copilot research, like how can Microsoft help?
Yes,
The public.
in preparation for today,
Oh,
how would that be relevant? Because Prabir said,
Okay.
bring me relevant use cases for
Yeah.
AI. I've never worked with the city before. And I'm sitting here going, holy smokes, I don't know many of your business problems.
Yep.
AI,
Oh.
help me.
Okay.
And this is where it came up with ideas.
My question was not that.
This is
Rick,
Microsoft
question.
365 Copilot.
My question, guys, my
Okay,
question was not that, correct? Anybody can do that. I can also do that. correct?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
my question was like, how you are helping other cities today? And what are the use cases you have implemented? So
Yes.
have you implemented, let's say, she's coming from San Diego. Do you work with San Diego county or city?
Yes.
Do they use, is there any use cases you have implemented already? And
Yes.
So
I think the Bellevue use case.
Bellevue,
We showed.
I think too, we have multiple cities doing 311 today.
311,
And we
okay.
just,
311.
I'm personally involved in, I'm not the specialist in 311, but I know our team is working
And
on.
311 on Microsoft Copilot?
Wait,
Or
yes,
311 on
Fine,
Australia?
That's a Dynamics 365.
Okay,
That is Dynamics specific.
yeah, so I was wondering,
Yeah,
did it augment their 311 application, just like the AI side of it, or is it a full-blown application?
This is Dynamics 365, okay.
So-
This is Dynamics CRM.
Yes, and I believe teams telephony as well. Yeah.
There's another, like New York City Housing Authority, NYCHA. They do lots of repairs within dwellings within the city, and they have an automated portal there.
What technology?
Copilot and Studio, and then, City of Boston for code ordinance and citizen engagement to that, again, all through Copilot and Copilot Studio. So we have examples. Now, here's the reality, and I mentioned this earlier. A lot of our customers, frankly, are still going through the data governance and getting their houses in order. A lot of them are starting with internal, how do I build capability and capacity in our walls so that we can push out of our walls? So a lot of the momentum's really on chat, M365, reasoning over my docs, preparation, boring stuff, right? And we're starting to get to some of the citizen facing stuff. And that's where I'm mentioning a handful of those. But ones I can talk about publicly on a public forum and public record, I am somewhat limited to those who have gone public and done things like, hey, we're posting here on Bellevue and things of the like. Our job right now is to spur ideas for you because it is new. And what is the most risk averse customer base? Cities, counties, and states, and bank. So like those are the segments that are, you go in the paper for all the wrong reasons if you get it wrong. And you don't go in the paper for the right reasons when you get it right. So we're gonna measure thrice and cut once on these things. And again, I think that's where the world is right now with risk averse orgs. And that's where I see a lot of the momentum brewing in-house, build capability and confidence on how to do this, go external. That's not to say we don't have some. We talked about some of them. Part of our job is to figure out how do I encourage you to think of what the best use case is for you all, which is what we were trying to do with some of these examples, which you can stop presenting. The idea was spur creativity. I hope that helps you.
Yeah, that helps. And Terry, does your team use GitHub Copilot today? No.
Do we have many in-house developers?
A handful.
Yeah.
Handful.
And you have Visual Studio today, so we have .NET apps, okay. So GitHub Copilots, like, are you using that in your day job? It sounds like you're pretty savvy.
Yeah, my company use it. I run data and AI for my company, so. So we have got like 2,000 Copilot license across the company. So around that is around 15-20% of employees, not all of them.
Yeah.
We recently started.
GitHub Copilot.
But my team uses GitHub Copilot. Yeah, it helps a lot.
Then I won't even go into my thoughts on it. You can sell your experience or tell and share your experience once we've left, but I just keep hearing exactly that. Like, it's amazing shortening time to code out more.
Presentation.
Okay.
Awesome.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Pleasure to meet you.
Three people who joined. No, there's. One more. One more stand.
Three more, what did you know?
Thank you.
If it was to be here, you didn't meet you.
It's okay.
I know it's part of the show. Have to look for you.
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
And a formal handshake. Here we go. Thank you so much.
sometime in the middle.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Very much. I've been trying to bring home a couple of times.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And thank you for running the show so well.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, yeah.
Enjoy your meal.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And
Great to meet you.
thank you.
Okay, that's it. Yes.
Well, I think we wanted to briefly chat about the work plan, but I didn't really have any action items on that.
Yeah, there is a
We don't
commission.
have any public comment. We all went home,
Sorry, what?
public comment?
We had a hand raised once, but they put it down.
Okay.
Yeah. You have no speakers.
We have a speaker,
We have no speakers for this.
Okay.
time.
so
We need to review.
give the work plan, like on one of the pages.
Can you defer it?
Yeah, 2026 work plan. Maybe
Include in the next,
Maybe we kick it to.
Page
we kick
15,
it- Kick it down.
Terry, is that okay if I propose to push this agenda to the next?
Yes.
Okay. I'll make this
But we need to
proposal.
work on this, right?
We worked on it a little bit last time, but we can work on it next.
Next one, in detail, because this needs lots of detailed discussion. Is
Okay.
that okay?
Yeah, I
You
think we
wanna
want.
put on this item number 4? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's.
That's the motion right there.
Okay.
I'm gonna second that.
I'm going to third that.
Okay. Okay.
I
Okay, let's go ahead and do a vote. Commissioner Duffy,
Approved.
Commissioner Garg,
Approved.
Commissioner Searing,
Approve.
Vice Chair Kumar,
Approved.
Chairman Monty.
Approved.
The motion passed unanimously.
Okay, commission report, you can probably update. Okay.
Yeah. You're planning on March 18th?
March 18, yeah, we didn't have some, mayor's meeting after that.
When was the last?
March
one?
18th is in 2.
Yeah.
The last one should have been like December.
Oh, so. Meeting since then.
Yeah, there's been no meetings.
No.
Okay.
No,
Update.
not yet.
Anyone have any items for item 6?
Commissioner report.
What is commissioner? report?
If
you
you
have
went to
anything
any
to say?
conference or anything. But we
No.
have done that.
Okay.
All right,